All right, we are live, streaming on YouTube, recording on Telegram. This is the first show of Innercoin in 2022. I would say I'm very excited. We have a lot of people here. I'm going to introduce some of the people on the team. I'd love to get some new guests and people to talk about how they discovered Intercoin. Just wanted to run through what we've done up till now and where things are going to go in the next 24 to 48 months. But things are moving fast in this space. I mean, literally, just like a few days ago, we announced that we completed the NFT smart contracts. Intercoin can now create NFTs for people. There's an entire Twitter thread. Literally, people are recommending Intercoin as the vendor for building NFTs and coins for people. We're going to cover that. And that's pretty exciting. People are starting to discover that, hey, maybe having your own app and having your own coin can really help any influencer, any community in the world. So hopefully we have a very, very big market coming up. And we're practically one of the only companies that had the vision and the perseverance to go build something for this market of entire communities rather than just peer-to-peer. So just to recap, March 2020, we started the Intercoin community, which is what you see here. We've got Telegram, we've got our online forum. I highly recommend everyone to come and join community.intercoin.org. If you're watching this video and you haven't joined yet, you're missing out. You're missing out on having your voice heard. You're missing out on participating and having an input into the future of economies in the world. Then, after that, we launched our YouTube channel, which is what you're seeing now streaming. If you go to youtube.com/Innercoin, or rather maybe youtube.com/Innercoin, that's the Innercoin channel. A growing number of videos, interviews, and shows like the one we're doing right now. You can learn about the economics, regulations, as well as the technology behind the smart contracts that will be powering these community currencies. If you go on GitHub, you're going to see all the code that we produce. We've got a growing developer team, and many people are very happy to be paid in our own coin, right? So if we're going to build coins for communities, we might as well start with our own. And so what can Intercoins be used for? A growing number of online digital services, as well as Intercoin helping to build websites. Websites like tokensociety.io, which recently had an NFT drop, which we helped to release. They have more NFT drops coming soon. But the one that I'm talking about is called Gay Alien Society. So Gay Aliens is a concept, could be put into a show, a movie, or whatever. It could be just a big brand. So all of these you could go ahead and buy right there on the site. And, it's an NFT drop. NFT drops, many people know about them, but it's a fast-moving space. So we have communities, we have essentially clients that want us to do NFTs. And you could see all the code and everything we're building on GitHub. We talk about that. Finally, the last thing that we've done is, well, we haven't done it. It's just something that happened is exchanges started to list the ITR token. So we've got, if you go up here, you've got exchanges like Uniswap, obviously, holders of ITR, decided, hey, let's swap ITR on Uniswap, right? So Intercoin's also on CoinMarketCap, Intercoin's also on CoinGecko, and so on. You can also, if you don't want to spend tons of gas, you can go on X Markets, and you can also go on P2P, B2B, and other exchanges which seem to be based in Estonia, Lithuania, and basically a few Asian exchanges as well. We have investors in Europe who are looking to pay listing fees and go on Asian exchanges. Intercoin's been featured in CoinDesk, Yahoo Finance. In short, we've done quite a bit. So what is up for this year? What are we going to meet the new year with. We're going to be launching the Intercoin app. Intercoin app is going to, of course, let you buy Intercoin and facilitate the ability to, use Uniswap and all that stuff for Intercoin. So you could be at a party and you could have somebody with Shiba Coin next to you, and you could just turn to them and say, what's in your wallet? You got some Shiba Coin? I'm part of Intercoin. I've earned Intercoins for my work with the project. I've bought some Intercoins. How about we share? How about we swap, right? And you pull out your things, you scan your QR codes, and boom. You've got some Shiba, they've got some Intercoin. You'll be able to sell your Intercoin like that anywhere. Also, Intercoin app will help communities go and reserve our services, get their NFTs minted, get their coins released. Intercoin app is, of course, just one way to do it. You'll also be able to do it on the website and a growing number of websites around the world. Finally, I want to talk about Intercoin NFTremix, which is a kind of a brand that we're putting out. We're going to turn NFTs into NFT 2.0, allowing people to not just look at their NFT and buy it and put it as their Twitter profile, but actually change it, actually interact with the NFT and modify it, because it is their NFT after all, so they can add their own touch to. It's like buying a Picasso painting and being able to add something to it, to your copy of it. So that's what I want to talk about on this show. Now, we have a ton of people joining every time. It's more people, so I'd love to sort of give it over to Elena and then have people introduce themselves, starting with the team. So let's go around. Who's on the team? Let's have Elena introduce herself first.
Greg, we cannot hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I just want to say let's go around and let's have everyone on the team introduce themselves. For those who don't know what you do at Innercoin and how did you get involved. So I'll start with you, Elena, and go down the line.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, my name is Elena Rivers. I am based in UK. I met with Greg 3 years ago, and 2 years ago he invited me to be one of the advisors on the board to help to grow Intercoin globally. I am responsible for the ambassador program and partnerships with other companies globally, because we would like to connect with different communities, and my goal is to help communities to grow and to help communities to see the values of what Intercoin can help them with in every way of their community, to build it on blockchain, or whether to build it just Web.2 website and so on. Thank you.
That's Elena. Elena's been with us for a very long time, and she's based in London. Okay, we've got. I want to jump to Stacy, because Stacy's been with us now for a while, and I think that Stacy will be playing a very big role this year. So I'd love to have Stacy kind of come up and talk about herself and her background and how she got involved with Intercoin.
Thanks, Greg. My name's Stacy Brown. I'm part of the team. I'm part of the community building team. I've been on the project since the spring, and what I'm doing right now is helping build up the community. So basically, we're trying to get people to join the team that basically have an interest in Intercoin, that want to help us build a movement. This is a little different than a typical crypto project. So the way we're doing it is basically having people find rules, the things that they're passionate about, to be able to share our vision. So, we're on social media and holding Twitter spaces and different things like that. So basically, I'm just trying to round everybody up and make sure that, we get people involved that actually want to see this grow. We're having a lot of new people that are really into NFTs and that kind of stuff. So we're going to have people that join the team that, have a lot of experience in that can help build that community. We have other people that are maybe more interested in politics and that, whereas, we're getting into city coins. So we need to fill roles there. So right now we're just really working on building the community, getting people help with social media and all that kind of stuff. So it's just kind of all coming together now that we have these products coming out.
Exactly. I want to say that we're going to go in all of these different directions, and they have something in common. Coins for the people, NFTs for the people, and apps for the people. So I don't think there's anyone in the world that really has spent so much. I mean, 12 years of my life personally, working on this, let's just say, project, this movement. It all first started, 12 years ago. 12 years it's been. By the way, we're not the only projects that's been working so hard. There's Made Safe and others started 2006. There's BitTorrent. But I think we're the only ones that really look at the social impact of what we're doing to the extent we do. So Cubix, right, is a company I started 2011. Cubix helps communities to launch their own app. And we've been talking about this. This is Free Talk Live. This is a community about liberty, and libertarians listen to it a lot. You can call into the show, right? Here you could call through Skype, but you can also call through things like video conferencing, right on the site, right on the web. So here I'm, using Telegram, but I could also be using just the open web. Check this out. So having this, being able to have my camera on, just like that, that's me right now. I'm talking. I have my camera on, and I'm on the site. Notice what I didn't have to do. I didn't have to use Facebook. I didn't have to use Google. I didn't have to use YouTube or even Telegram. All of this is being done entirely through the website. And as I do this, I can browse the website. I can earn credits for listening to their show.
Of this location monitor.
Every minute I listen to the show, I earn internal credits. I can listen to video, audio. I can connect with other people in the community. And this is what it looks like. We have people in the community. You can see their interests. You can connect with them. You can add them to contacts, friends, family. Okay, you can have Christian or Jewish or Muslim dating sites where you could literally meet people with common interests and date, right? You could do all these things, business, deals. And so we've built this over the years. This already exists. This already has customers. Customers paid us between $10,000 and $100,000 per project. All right. And so who else does this? The thing is, right now, if you want to have your own online software, you can't. You have to use Facebook. You have to use Google. And so when you do something like that, you're going to find that Facebook makes you create an account, and then Facebook bombards you with ads and controls the entire experience, right? Same thing with Twitter. Same thing with everything. So people have this mentality of living in the same mentality that feudal serfs used to have when they lived in feudalism, okay, before the French Revolution, and when they had the caste system. Who was on top? It was the feudal lords. They were together with the kings, right? And it was similarly today with, Facebook, Google, Twitter, which we're on here, even Telegram. Even though they're well-meaning and they provide great services, they still control the entire platform. So Web3 was supposed to be a way to get away from that. But I think that Web2, 12 years ago, we saw this coming, right? It's like the iRobot tagline. One man saw this coming. But the idea is that we did something about it. Today, we have probably the world's most advanced, I could actually legitimately say it's probably one of the most advanced operating systems that you can build your own community apps. You can have events, you can have locations, you can have people driving each other to locations. So whether you use it for schools and teaching, whether you use it for dating or business deals, or whether you use it because you're an online influencer and you just want to have your community like we're doing now, we have the software to do that. So that was Cubix. And then somewhere around 2017, we said, well, what can we do with Web3? Web3 is different than Web2. With Web2, you still have a landlord. You see, Free Talk Live is still a site that has, its own servers, right? And so Web3 was kind of about peer-to-peer. But Web3 kind of got stuck somewhere. Sorry if my screen is my screen stuck right now? Can you let me know if I'm being if you can still hear me?
We can hear you, but no video of you on the site.
What about now? Is it back?
Yes, we can see your screen
Perfect.
on the Cubix and Intercoin.
So this is how the two companies are related. So for 7 years, we've built Cubix. It was very tough because we have to literally build most of Facebook. What Facebook has done with tens of millions of dollars and large development teams, we've been able to do a version of that that's open source, and you can see it on GitHub at cubix.com/platform or github.com/Cubix. And everything you want to read about, you can read about here. For example, if you scroll down, you can read about the platform and how it's a bunch of building blocks. You can read about testimonials, people using it. And I want to get to the rest of the team. I just wanted to let you know that this vision's been around for 12 years. And we're kind of the only company that has actually put it together. If you go to wefunder.com and you look at the upcoming crowdfund that we're going to do, WeFunder is a top crowdfunding platform. Maybe Start Engine is a little bit smaller. It's like neck and neck. So if you look at through our thing, this is my co-founder, Zach, who we started 12 years ago. He's still around. This is Igor in the Ukraine. We've been working for 7 years. He's had a baby. I was at his wedding. So we work together. This is Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web. Okay, and that's his team. That's myself. That's Zach. And this is 2014 or 15 when we went up to MIT and talked about joining forces. Ultimately, Tim and his team went on to do their own thing, and they didn't want to join forces. This guy worked with us for a while. This guy was the lead on his project. Came to work for us for a few months. But ultimately, a lot of these things are very fractured, and people aren't, there's so many movements for UBI, there's so many movements for open source, but as you can see, they're not as highly organized as a top-down corporation like Facebook, right? And so we wanted to change that. So Innercoin started because we wanted to leverage Web3. We wanted to have applications like the kind of applications you don't have today. We're talking about things like voting. Okay, you can't do that with Web3, with Web2, because imagine storing all the votes in one database, right? We've seen this movie before, and in fact, Cubix writes about this. So Cubix has highlighted and compiled. Every few months you get a data leak. You get somebody hacking into the system where all the votes are stored, all the data is stored. So the top thing. No way to prevent this, says the only industry where this regularly happens. This is a parody of the Onion article. But what does it do? Check this out. Almost all Brazilians' data was exposed. And then you got the Yahoo breach, 3 billion accounts exposed. Oh, check this one out. An entire country. 2020, last year, leak of all Likud party members. Actually, pretty much all Israeli adults. Okay, so the Likud party didn't secure the data very well. And ID, phone numbers, addresses of all Israeli adults. How nice. So what's the problem with storing everything in one database? This is the problem. It creates a big honeypot for people to change, to hack into. So you can't do that with Web 2. So what are you going to do? So applications of Innercoin include everything you can do with Web 3. Let's just quickly go through it. You can run your own community. You can have your own roles, president, secretary, treasurer. You have NFTs for them, representing their roles. There's all these kinds of things you can do. You can have your own currency. You can pay people with your own currency. You can have statistics calculated as to how currency is being used. If I'm helping Haiti after an earthquake and I'm sending my money, currently the best thing I could do is get a letter from a child that I'm helping, right? How about I know what people are using the money for? If I invest in a university and I help donate to the school, I'd like to know, are students using it for books, Are they using it to go eat in the cafeteria? Like, what are they doing with the money? So contests allow community to pay people, like 99 Designs. Like, we paid people to have our own logo, which I'm going to talk about. Intercoin X coming out. And so all these things, including voting, things that we've written about on CoinDesk, on Yahoo Finance, and other things. So if you go to CoinDesk, you'll see my article. Back in 2020, we wrote about this. And now we've built it. And now we're actually going to serve communities with it. So who is our target market? It is literally B2B. It's every community in the world. It's like our total addressable market size is literally any business, any influencer, any community, any city, any town. Probably the largest target market you can think of. Because like they want to have their own coin if they could. But just like with Cubix, until we build it, they can't. So just like people are going to go on Twitter, they're going to go on Facebook to build their groups, they're going to go on Telegram to build their, shall we say, Telegram channels. They're going to go on YouTube. So that's the current world. That's the feudalism. Choose your feudal lord and say, pretty please, sire, have mercy on me, have my best interests at heart. Similarly, today, a city that's located in a federation don't have their own coin, don't have their own economy, monetary policy. They have to live with the monetary policy that's given to them by the federal government. And the federal government lets them go bankrupt, like Detroit went bankrupt, or lots of cities around the world are struggling. Towns, okay, little towns, people leaving. How can they strengthen their economy? Well, they can have their own coin. And so where are the tools to that coin? So we met with the mayor of Twin Peaks, Minnesota, and I'm going to put that video online soon. And so we're talking about New York City coin, possibly. Imagine cities around the world having this. Imagine any community around the world having this. That's what the project's about. So with that, I want to continue to talk about our team. And I guess let's move on to Alicia. Alicia joined more recently. She's an artist. And Alicia, can you talk a little bit about yourself and how did you discover Intercoin?
Absolutely, Greg. Thank you. So Alicia Anglin here. I'm the community manager for Innercoin. Very proud of that. Glad to be a part of it. And I actually got into Intercoin by Stacy. Stacy introduced me. We're friends on NFT Twitter. So we went through there earlier last year. And towards the end of 2021, I would say October, November, I got involved with Intercoin and I liked everything that it was about. And basically what I'm going to be doing as a community manager is helping to build the community as well as, manage the expectations of the community and just grow the project all together in any way, shape or form. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And I'm just glad to be here. Thank you.
Fantastic. We really, really need to focus on growing our community. This is the year. We have technology that dwarfs anything that, Safe Moon has. I'm even like joking because there's so many coins out there in the last 2 years that were launched. Like, I remember the good old days. Am I a grandpa that I remember like altcoins actually having real like technology behind them, right? Not to like rag on Safe Moon, but I'm just saying like so many coins. Now, I remember Bitcoin maximalists used to call everything a shit coin. But in the last 2 years, there's a real space of shit coins. Shit coins are meme coins. They're coins that have nothing except the name. Now, don't get me wrong. They have some innovative tokenomics. SafeMoon raised millions of dollars with their idea that you're going to pay a tax when you sell the coin or buy the coin. That's pretty much it. For what they did in the beginning. The rest is about community building. Everrise talked about buybacks, where the contract is going to buy back some, keep reserves and buy back some of the coin. It attracted millions of dollars last year. But what do they have besides the fact that the coin exists and has a community? So back in the day, there was Dogecoin, right? There's all this stuff, and Elon Musk likes Dogecoin. There's certainly something to be said about having a nice mascot and picture or whatever. Not to knock that, but there's so much more. So as a grandpa, Okay, I remember like in my day, a few years ago, altcoins like Cardano, Solana, Holochain, like there's actually doing something. They're trying to change the world with new technology. They're building some new things. And so that's really, really important. And then you've got projects like EOS that raised $4 billion, the largest ICO. And like they've done stuff, but you know, if you compare what they've done with like Ethereum, right? Or, you know, Binance Smart Chain even, right? All the Ethereum compatible networks. I would argue that, you know, they could have done a lot more with $4 billion. So I'd like to see capital allocated to projects that actually like try to solve real problems in the world. And Intercoin is very open about our problems that we're trying to solve, but it took us a long time to actually build the software. And I feel that we have way more that in some ways that even projects like, okay, I don't want to really like take on or like compare us to different things, but I'm just going to say, I think in some ways we have done as much as Cardano. We have done as much as Solana. It's just that when we build something, and by the way, with much less budget and much less influencers and much less hype for now. So we need to equalize. So there's basically three, shall we say, layers of solving a problem, right? There's the base layer protocol. That's Cardano, Solana, Ethereum, right? Binance Smart Chain, Polygon. These do an amazing job of creating a secure, hopefully secure, network. You know, there's 0-day hacks and disclosures, and they try to patch them in secret. But typically, they provide the infrastructure on which we run. What we do is the other two layers, right? We focus on building smart contracts to actually make the type of business logic and rules that a society or a community can use to pay people to have their own coin, to have their own NFTs, right? We launch our own NFT contract, we get it audited. Like just in the last few weeks, we've launched a new smart contract. I'll talk about that. And then finally, there's the application layer. I'm talking about apps that you download on your phone. I'm talking about websites and widgets that actually let you interface, right? Like with MetaMask, you actually can launch your MetaMask and interface with the Web3, right? So that's the idea. The idea that you can connect with the geekier layer, which is this, right? So if you look at Charles Hoskinson, you look at Vitalik, right? They are much more, I'm going to say nerdy or geeky. They understand the technology and they are conversant with the cryptography that goes into it, the distributed systems that go into it. And so you need to be a little bit of a polymath where you have this, but then you also, right, want to talk about economics, regulations, right? Not just the technology. So Intercoin wants to bridge the all three. It's a multidisciplinary project, but I'm not going to say that I know as much about cryptography as Vitalik. I'm not going to say I know as much about Haskell and distributed systems as Charles Hoskinson, or for that matter, Leslie Lamport from Microsoft, who's a genius for 20 years, been writing some of the foundational concepts of distributed systems. He's invented many of the concepts we use today. But I will say that I've met them and I've spoken to them, and I've corresponded with Leslie Lamport about things, and he's retired since. And I've spoken to people at teams at Ripple, and the former and the current CTO of Ripple. I've spoken to teams that some of you have never heard of, like Made Safe, who I respect a lot. And one guy on this call, I think, who may speak up, Greg, if you're on here, introduced me to Holochain, and I met some of the people, in the New York City meetups from Holochain as well, which is a very interesting technology. So that is just to say that you need to nail not just what we nailed here, because if you nail here this, you get something like Etherscan, right? Which is a geeky sort of thing where no one is going to use Etherscan if they're a grandma. I mean, unless you're a really sophisticated grandma and you're like, used to work in like, on mainframes or something, you're probably not going to look at Etherscan and be like, that's how I'm going to pay my bills today. That's how I'm going to go to the restaurant and settle my bill. So Etherscan is what you get when you build the base layer protocol, right? We want to get from that to actually useful software, actually user-friendly software. So it's a block explorer. You know, it's got blocks, it's got transactions, it's got all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, this is not what people are going to use. Just like when you had DOS and Unix, right? We're in the era of literally mainframe computers right now. We're in the era that's analogous to people renting time on a mainframe. Like Bill Gates, when he was in a university, like rented time on a mainframe. And then that's the same as paying gas to have your transaction run on the world computer. It's really expensive, Ethereum, and like there you go. This is not where things are going to be, right? We want to get to a point where we have graphical user interfaces. We want to be the Apple of crypto, right? We want to have the software for the rest of us. People actually can use. So then we're going to actually make crypto mainstream. So one way to do that is to grow the community. And what I have been talking about, all of this, all of it is technology. Even the user-friendly part is still technology. And while I'm a big believer in technology, I think technology is going to shape the way that we interact, just like it's always shaped the way we interact, right? The way society runs. So we used to sew our clothes by hand, and then we got sewing machines. We used to have to copy our books, including religious books and religious, scripts, scrolls, by hand, every single one, okay? And then we got the printing press. Then we've got Xerox copiers only recently, right? And we can distribute stuff. Then we got blogs. Then the internet enabled like all of this stuff. So society's changed. Facebook has changed society, allowing people to connect, albeit through a centralized platform owned by Mark Zuckerberg and Wall Street. But at least we can do things we could not previously do, right? If I wanted, I could friend a bunch of like Israelis and Palestinians and get them to like go in a chat room together in the same group and like discuss things. That was not previously possible. Literally, like there were newspapers, issued in one area of the world and newspapers issued in another area in a different language. And even today, I can't read the ones in Chinese, right? With the internet, I can connect people that have totally opposite viewpoints, in Tibet and Hong Kong and mainland China, and like have them understand each other. So when it comes to the iPhone, Steve Jobs, right, created the iPhone, totally blew away. Everybody's now addicted to these things because you get everything through it. So I believe Intercoin can help shape society, and the movement starts with us. So the movement, the community, it's sort of like we're the team, but we are like patient zero, right? I'm patient zero. I'm infecting all you people talking about how are we going to build our community? How are we going to build our movement? And the first thing is, what is our movement about? And so I'm going to talk about that next. But before I do, I'd like to introduce Carter. Carter, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how did you discover Innercoin?
Sorry, I think he's in an appointment right now. I think he had.
Oh, he hasn't joined. He hasn't joined this time. All right, let me go to
No,
Norman.
he was listening while he was waiting, but I think he did have to leave for about 15 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. He's probably going to be back. All right, so we got Norman. Please.
Jack, it's actually, it would be nice if we will move to NFT as a community, because after Alicia invited one of her contacts and one of her friends,
Yes.
Mel Norcott, on a call, and Mel is with us, and your technology part, and because Mel is actually one of the people online who connects NFTs in crypto art with the technology, because she brings two worlds together. She is a professional in the technology part, but also in she is an NFT artist.
Yes.
And I think
So would you like me to start interviewing Mel? Is that okay to do that now?
Can we just go through the rest of the team, and then I'd love to sort of just bring up one or two people, and then let's launch into the interview. I think that would be excellent.
Perfect.
But Mel,
Excellent.
if you want, just say a couple words about yourself now, and then when we start the interview, we're gonna delve a lot deeper into all of it. So yeah, introduce yourself.
Hi, greetings. My name is Mel Shapcott. I'm abstract artist, and I've got a number of different NFT collections, primarily on Ethereum. And I also consult with women artists and entrepreneurs to help them onboard into the NFT space, because I really do believe, like you do, that this is a opportunity to shift some paradigms within the world that we live in. And I feel really passionate and committed to that cause. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. Thank you, Alicia, for inviting me. And I'm so excited to learn about Innercoin. I've been reading all about it and love hearing what you have to say. It's a really, really awesome and interesting concept to me. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. It's our pleasure to host, and I think that's what this is all about. I don't want it to be just me monologuing. I know I've been talking a lot. And in the second half, I'm going to give it over to all of you to ask questions and to have interviews. I just wanted to set the stage because it's 2022, and I wanted to kind of like summarize. There's so much going on that it's just, it's getting out of hand almost. So yeah, I think it's all about community. Like Alicia was saying, we've got to grow our community, and community is not just about the leader, or it's not about one or two people. The community is, a lot of it is about participation. It's about everyone finding meaning in the movement and what it's all about. And so that's what I really want to get into. And I will want to introduce Norman and a couple other people. Before I do, I wanted to just do this last segment about the purpose of Intercoin. How is Intercoin actually going to make crypto mainstream, right? That's our goal, making crypto mainstream. So this is what I'd like to present. Intercoin.org/proposal.pdf. So I'm going to keep it like this. I know it's, it's probably good, actually, a good fit for the video. So this is actually an investment proposal. And the reason why I think, it's interesting because the SEC of the United States has some rules around public solicitation of, they construe public solicitation pretty widely. If I'm to present this, for example, it might be construed as, hey, we're soliciting investment publicly. But we actually have been doing that with Reg D, with Reg S, and other exemptions from registration. So we have been treating Intercoin like a security. By the way, very different than most coins. Not just shit coins, but also altcoins. Like meme coins and shit coins, like they don't even dox themselves, many of them. They are sometimes Ponzi schemes, meaning they have nothing going besides the coin, and the early investors get paid off by the later investors. And that's pretty much it. Everything else is a variation on how the money is redistributed, but that's all there is. It's a triangle. There's a triangle that gets bigger as it goes bigger. More money comes in, but at the end of the day, the party has to end and someone's left holding the bag. We are not like that, right? We're actually building something, and in some way, all startups are Ponzi schemes with an actual product, right? So early investors come in, the shares are worth something, the tokens are worth something, and then if the company succeeds, they're worth more potentially, or whatever, the investment's worth more. So to that extent, it has aspects of a security. Now, many projects say, well, it's also utility. It has, a lot of utility, and that may be true. The question is whether people are buying it because they want to use it. For example, if they buy Intercoin to create NFT and release NFT collections, then that's actually not a security transaction. If they're getting NFTs of Intercoin in order to get on the board of the project or to get governance of a DAO, that's probably not a security if you cannot resell that NFT and you must only surrender it back to the company when you leave your position. But, in the meantime, you have different access to different things. That's not a security, according to almost everybody in this space. What would be a security is if you can resell this thing later on for more money, if you get a cash flow going in, that has aspects of security. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to present what Intercoin is all about, and the opportunity to invest in Intercoin is publicly being solicited. So to the extent that this happens, we have a private, we have a prospectus, I should say, offering memorandum that discloses all the risks, all the things. So we treat this pretty responsibly. Again, we're one of the only projects in the crypto space that does stuff like that. We've paid our lawyers quite a bit of money. Law firm in Florida, for example, to give a shout out to Schutz, SHUTTS. They wrote our PPM, very extensive prospectus, and so you go ahead and read that. Okay, let's get started. So Intercoin, how is it going to change the world? Well, let's see what hasn't made crypto mainstream yet. So we had Bitcoin. Okay, it's been around for 10 years. El Salvador is pushing everyone to use Bitcoin. How is that going? So it's been first 9 years, there has been no El Salvador. The people who have been using Bitcoin were people on the dark net who were, selling drugs maybe, or people who are trying to get around capital controls of China. So rather than going through Macau, they would, send millions of dollars through Bitcoin. Okay, so there's that. There is trying to get around, capital controls. But what else is Bitcoin used for? Mostly a store of value, right? People were hoping it's going to be a peer-to-peer cash system. Even the staunchest Bitcoin maximalist can grudgingly admit that for now, Bitcoin has not become a peer-to-peer cash system, right? What is it? What is mainstream? What does mainstream look like, right? Mainstream looks like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Telegram, right? In China, there is a social network that is used for payments, mainstream, and it's called WeChat. WeChat started out as merely a social network for communication and became a payment network.
See, Bitcoin can never be used as a payment gateway because its price fluctuates a lot.
Absolutely. Who said that? Introduce yourself. What's your name?
This is Mr. Beast from India.
Mr. Beast, tell us just quickly, what is your connection to crypto and how long have you been in the space?
Not too long. I've entered the crypto space in, 2020.
So in 2020, I remember hearing about India's tumultuous relationship with crypto, right? And India has...
India,
go ahead.
India is the crypto hub.
India is a crypto hub, but it has we did a show recently. Elena could tell you the India Blockchain Alliance. We have how shall I say this? India's government has a love-hate relationship with crypto. Remember when the India 20 rupee note was removed, and they tried to ban everybody holding the 20 rupees?
The Indian government will either ban cryptocurrency or it will regulate it. Chances of regulation are higher.
Yes. So Intercoin, and I can see why governments are not really so happy with crypto, because so far crypto, right, it has not enabled the things that it said it would, like peer-to-peer cash system, right? Like you're saying, Bitcoin is not a peer-to-peer cash system. And you're right.
It's not practical.
It's not practical. Intercoin is looking to build a peer-to-peer cash system. Okay? So that's one thing. Another thing is Ripple. Ripple started out with arguably better technology, meaning it's more scalable. It doesn't only do 7 transactions per second for the whole world. But it got in bed with the big banks, okay, and with the small banks. Ripple started to be a service provider for banks. And its competitor is the Swift network, okay? And so while that's nice, most of the crypto space is wary of big banks because they know that the big banks work with governments. And people want to see the people's coin, right? They want to see any website in the world have its own coin. Any city have its own coin, maybe. That's the vision. And so this Ripple has kind of been seduced by the banks, and many people call it centralized. I've spoken to Stephen Thomas, who was the CTO of Ripple, and he told me 3 years ago, you guys at Intercoin are doing exactly the right thing. You're doing what we're doing, but instead of working with banks, you're working with local communities around the world. So he was happy with it. And then since then, he's left Ripple, started his own company called Coil. And together with Mozilla, they're funding the open web and micropayments with a $100 million fund. You can look it up, Mozilla and Coil together. It's called like micropayments for the web, something like that. All right, web monetization. Then we've got Ethereum. Ethereum started out, it painted itself into a corner with proof of work, where they have a very, very expensive network, which does more than Bitcoin. So it has more transactions, and it's even more expensive than Bitcoin because they're trying to cram all transactions into one blockchain. Ethereum keeps saying that it's going to launch Ethereum 2.0. We have a running gag on the site of like, when are they finally going to launch it? Because they keep saying 95% chance they're going to launch it 2 years ago, 1 year ago. And it's like, nice for you, Ethereum. I don't know why anyone uses the Ethereum network if there's like Polygon and Binance Smart Chain, but NFTs are on Ethereum. I guess people like to pay miners thousands of dollars for no reason. They could just pay Polygon miners much less. But even Polygon has an issue. Even Solana has an issue. And the issue's name is blockchain. There's a problem with blockchain. We need to move past blockchains. The problem with blockchain is that all transactions in the world have to be stored in one place. The entire state of all the smart contracts needs to be stored. Everyone needs to store everything. That just doesn't scale. So Intercoin eventually is going to launch the Intercoin, we're working, I should say, on the Intercoin base layer protocol. It's geeky, it's technological, yes, but it will actually be past blockchain, and we're calling it the Intercloud. We wanted to have two words, like a mashup of two words. Rather than blockchain, we're going to call it Intercloud. It's the cloud it's the internet of coins. We're going to talk about that on another show. So anyway, this is the goal. We want to make crypto as mainstream as WeChat in China, which has replaced cash. Facebook, which can roll out its own crypto wallets and currency, and probably will do so. Telegram, which would have already launched Telegram Grams, but hasn't done it because of the SEC. Twitter, Signal, Gmail, okay? You can pay through Gmail. All of these services are used by millions and billions of people per day. Per day. How many people use Bitcoin to pay? 7 per second. All right, so very big difference. So here's what we have to do. Crypto has to move past peer-to-peer, okay? You can't have everything happening on one blockchain. And, look at what's happening. I go to Uniswap, I swap with someone, I don't know who they are. Could be a bot. Whoop-de-doo. You need a company that focuses on entire cities at once, okay? Holistically talking about decentralized apps designed to serve an entire community, like a university, a city, an online community. We want to build a smart economy. So we're announcing it here. This is me. This is the mayor of New York City. Now he is the mayor. Back when we took this photo, he was doing a fundraiser on the roof in Manhattan. What is he holding? He's holding, actually, the Intercoin Communities presentation, the one that you can see if you click there. In other words, Eric Adams can have New York City Coin. We have these domains also, newyorkcitycoin.com. Imagine if Intercoin powers the New York City economy with its own coin. I grew up in the city, and I'd like to see our own coin circulate in the city. Because what City Coins is doing is it's just minting these coins, but there's no applications. We've built the applications. It wasn't easy. We spent 4 years, but we've built it, and now we can do it. Who is this guy? This guy is the mayor of Twin Peaks, Minnesota. Brock Pierce is from Minnesota. Brock Pierce ran for president here in New York City. I know these people. They're very interesting people, colorful characters. Brock Pierce was actually a child actor. As some of you might know, he was in Mighty Ducks. He was in other movies. And he got out of acting and got into crypto. That's why he's probably a billionaire on paper, if you look at all of his things. He was involved with the $4 billion with EOS. I'm not sure if he was involved with the fundraise, but he was helping to found EOS. So hopefully Brock and his group, there's a lot of interest in trying to help communities and make a social impact. That is who we're talking about. Brock is just one example of people in the crypto space who are interested. Some people are not interested. Some people are Bitcoin maximalists who just want to see Bitcoin take over everything. Those people will not necessarily understand why Intercoin gives everyone their own coin. They want to see one coin for everybody. But if there's libertarians out there, typically they understand. We have libertarians like Roger Ver, who started Bitcoin Cash, who learned it from Free Talk Live. And like I've said, we're friends with the people from Free Talk Live, and they have paid us to build their own site. And now they're going to do their own coin, their own NFTs. So they get it. A lot of libertarians get it. And a lot of mayors are starting to get it. Government Blockchain Association is, I'm going to play a clip really quickly. Government Blockchain Association helps to build public-private partnerships between, shall we say, cities and blockchain companies. They have dozens of chapters around the world, in Africa, in India, in Russia, I think, and all here in the United States too. I've met them. This is the director of the Government Blockchain Association. Later in January, we're going to the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., and we're going to power their conference there, as we did 2 years ago. So I'm going to bring up Norman in a minute. Norman can introduce himself, and afterwards we're going to give it over to the audience, and we're going to give it to the interviews. I just want to play this clip. So this is from 2 years ago when we powered their first conference of the Government Blockchain Association. Here we go.
My name is Gerard Daché. I'm the Executive Director of the Government Blockchain Association, or GBA. We're a 501c6 nonprofit. We're an organization that has about 100 chapters around the world. We've got about 15,000 people that connect through those chapters. We've got about 50 working groups. It is a very complex, dynamic organization with government and private sector people. Our mission is to connect the public sector and the private sector around blockchain solutions at the state, local, national, and international level. And we've just accomplished a lot. We're working on projects globally. So we just concluded a conference. We had people come together from all over the world, from Asia, from Africa, from Europe. It was an incredible group of people. We had speakers from the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, government leaders from many government organizations, the House, the Senate, Library of Congress, DHS. I mean, it was just incredible collection. And academia, we had just world-class academics. And one of the best things that people told me about this event is how we could bring such a diverse group of people together, and they were able to connect, communicate, and collaborate because of the networking technology that we have. We used the app that Cubix put together for us, right? It was a GBA community, and a lot of people, they were invited in, they were able to create profiles, they were able to connect with each other, set up meetings, you could scan business cards, all the things that you need to do. You know, the speakers were great and people learned a lot, but people come to these events so that they can network, right? And the capacity that they had to be able to do that and the support they have with the technology just blew away anybody's expectations. Cubix came and they put that app together, they built it for us. It just blew me away. And I didn't really know what to expect, but when you deployed the app and you showed me all the features and the functionality, I knew this was going to be a great thing. So I really want to thank you for all that you've done.
So here's the point in the end, right? Would you recommend?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. Well, only if during your conference you want your people to have a good experience and get value.
So that's Cubix and the Government Blockchain Association. I literally talked to the director 2 days ago. They're launching another one in the Capitol building. This time the Treasury, people are coming from the Treasury, from the US government, as well as from around the world. Innercoin could be talking. Norman, when you introduce yourself, you could mention us going to Monaco. You can mention the United Nations Capital Development Fund, and many other things. You could talk about the Government Blockchain Association, because Norman was with me as well. Norman goes with me on many different trips. Norman's been with us for like 2 years. And yeah, I'd like to sort of bring him up and kind of, Norman, introduce yourself and, tell us where we've been together.
Hi, so thanks for the intro, Greg. So I'm Norman. It's good to see new people in our community. It makes me happy whenever there's, when I see someone whose name that I don't recognize on our Telegram and our community. So, thanks for joining us, Mel. Thanks for joining us, Rafa, Voltron, Trust, and Irma, as well as everyone else. So thank you for joining. I'm the operations manager, so I am the person who makes sure that things are happening on time and that initiatives are being run correctly over at Intercoin. Some of the things that I've been involved in over the past couple of months include fundraising, right? We need to help the company finance its day-to-day operations. So I've been involved in a bunch of different investor pitches, as well as sourcing potential sources of potential sources of funding for the company. I've also been involved with, as Greg said, a lot of work representing the project around the crypto space. So a lot of the crypto conference circuit, including things like Retosa in Monaco, as well as NFT NYC. If you're based in New York, you'll know about Consensus, which is the one that happened. It happens every year around April or May. And then also Masari Mainnet. So, if you go to crypto conferences, let me know, especially if you're around the New York area. We'll probably run into each other and, we'll catch up. And I'd love to meet you all if I get the chance to do so. So that's a little bit about some of my experiences over at Intercoin. Don't want to hold up everyone here for too long because I know we have some of our guests here as well. So I'll limit my introduction to just that part. If you want to talk, I'm available on Telegram. And we'll talk more.
Amazing. Thank you, Norman. And I know I've been hogging the mic. I'm going to finish up in 2 minutes. I want to give it over to everyone else to introduce themselves, and then going to launch into the interview in the second half. So the community, I just wanted to kind of walk you through what we're going to expect in 2022. We want to make sure that any community has its own economy, meaning you can manage your own currency. You can distribute the salaries to people. You can give a universal basic income, which we like to call voluntary basic income, to even your homeless. You can give every homeless person a $50 Android phone, and on that phone they'll have job opportunities, but they will also be able to earn money right on their phone, get money for food, which they can go in and buy food in the supermarket and go eat it. Things like that can end the type of begging and food insecurity that people have, even if they're not homeless. That's what we want to do. We want to see a society where people are self-sufficient enough so they can work a 30-hour work week, spend time with their kids, raise a family, do science, contribute to Wikipedia, open source, and other things that the market may not value at the moment. Also, we want to help with governance and the NFTs and everything like that. We'll do a show about that. Secure voting, elections, and delivering data that people understand to make informed decisions about how the money is being used in their community. So crypto has to embrace local currencies instead of monolithic blockchains. We are not maximalist. We don't believe that there's one currency that everyone has to use. Instead, we want every community to have their own currency, and Innercoin is simply interconnecting all these currencies, same way that Internet will connect, has been connecting all local networks. So that's the idea. The idea is local currencies circulate inside their community. The community doesn't run out of its own currency, and the community can run its own monetary policy to decide to fix the roads or help the homeless or build a park or whatever they want to do. They can influence their own community without having to influence any other community. Innercoin takes care of inter-community trades. Innercoin, if we're going to talk about investment opportunities, Innercoin is limited. The supply is limited. Only 1 billion Innercoins can ever be issued. And so what would happen is, as more communities use it as a reserve currency, they have to keep it on reserve, which means staking it, basically. Not just a dumb staking, just look at your balance and try to do a Ponzi scheme, but actually staking it so that there's real economic activity that gets backed by it. So our goal is to have more utility, more economic activity, and bigger money velocity in these organizations. And so ultimately, there will be no reason for many people to cash out to dollars, to cash out to Bitcoin, if they can simply pay everyone within the Intercoin ecosystem, right? So the more communities join the ecosystem, the more services and goods and products you can have. And that's the idea. We want to build an actual, not a peer-to-peer cash system, but a cash system that is global and interoperable. Finally, crypto has to have a friendly user interface. And then next week, we're going to talk about the Intercoin app that's coming out and the way that you can release your own NFTs. We believe Innercoin is the Apple of crypto. We believe that just like Apple built an accessible computer for the rest of us and helped make personal computers actually usable by grandmas and allowed people to have Mac Paint so they can draw pictures and fonts and stuff like that. I think in a way I'm like the Steve Jobs of crypto, in that I see that people need to have a user-friendly and powerful interface that they could put on their websites. That's what we were building, and all that kind of other stuff, statistics, decision making, all of that will happen. So this is our team, and anyone who wants to join or wants to actually set up a call with us can just go to our Calendly, calendly.com/Intercoin/meeting. So that's basically what it is. Norman and I have met so many people, and I've met so many people online, but we've went to the Government Blockchain Association. We know people at the United Nations Capital Development Fund. We know top people in the crypto space. We know, to some extent, mayors of cities who might want to, start the UBI program using Innercoin. So that's an overview of the project as it stands now. And I just wanted to quickly just go around the room and everybody can sort of introduce themselves. How did they get into crypto, and how did they hear about Intercoin? So can we start actually with Greg? Greg, if you have a chance to speak, I'd love to sort of have you say a little bit about yourself. And I know you were into holochain also. So just if you want, take the mic.
How's it going, guys? My name is Greg. So I've known Greg for a while now, and I've known him since he started, I guess, his groups, the Groups app. And I started investing in crypto, I think 3 years ago. And I myself, I'm actually I'm very much into holochain. If you guys look them up, I don't know if anybody knows about holochain in this group. These guys are basically trying to develop something that is the post-blockchain tech. They're trying to go beyond blockchain. I mean, they obviously have a token, but their whole thing, the key to the whole equation is not so much the token or, people invest in the token and they want the token obviously to go up. But the key is the community, and the key is building something that is, faster than what we have with blockchain. For example, if you look at Bitcoin, for example, the transactions per, how do they measure it? Per second, per minute, it's very, very slow. Stuff like Ethereum, which is great, but we have, crazy gas fees, right? Which kind of fly in the face of, I guess you can call it supply and demand. A friend of mine told me, well, the more demand there is for, Ethereum, the higher the price goes up. I'm like, okay. So there are people out there developing things that are faster, cheaper. You can build. People are building apps on it. I actually know there was a company out in Brooklyn. They used to be called Junto. They changed their name, and they're building something akin to Facebook, where they're claiming that what they're trying to do is actually, destroy or eliminate this whole dopamine fix that we have going on over here. So now you come to people and you say that, and they say, well, listen, like, so how's this thing gonna make money? If you're not hooking people in, like, Greg and I spoke about this yesterday. If you're not, Mark Zuckerberg trying to hook people into click, like, then how are you gonna make money? Okay, so that's another question. But yeah, and then I was actually a few months ago, maybe a year ago, I was talking to Greg about this project. I wanted him to take a look at it, just at the tech, because I know he's obviously he's a programmer. And then he goes to me, well, take a look at Intercoin, and I'm like, oh man, just another guy with his own coin. This is like 16,000 coins out there, almost 17,000 coins. And he says to me, it's called Intercoin. I'm like, okay. I'm like, how's this different from that? And then after he explained it to me, it's very interesting, and I'm actually surprised that there aren't people out there trying to introduce, indigenous currencies for cities, for states, for small communities, whatever it is. I kind of know why. And I think Greg showed me these whole use cases of Massachusetts, and all this kind of stuff. But as far as why there's not other projects like this. There's maybe one other project in Israel, right? I forget the name that you mentioned. But there
Kolu, there's Kolu, but they're doing something, slightly different.
I'm actually quite surprised that no one else is doing this. So yeah, it's very cool. I really want to see. I told Greg yesterday, I'm like, and I hope he succeeds. It's one of those things where we always see these situations, where a very successful company that we know of, or global company that we know of, someone else tried the same concept, or let's say hundreds of people tried the same concept. For whatever reason, it didn't fly, whether it was the marketing, the logo, the name, just the wrong, as we say in Judaism, the wrong mazal, it didn't have the wrong, the stars did not align for it, or were not pre-aligned for it to work out, whatever it is. But I hope this works out, and it sounds like something really great. It's just really, at the end of the day, I think it's all about just execution and working, with the right people. As we've seen in this pandemic, something can happen where, the wrong people get their hands on something and it could be crushed, no matter where you stand on, which side you stand on, so to speak. So yeah, that's all I have to say. In that regard.
You're absolutely right. Like Keybase was a very promising company that helped people to store their own keys and their own, but eventually Zoom bought them, and then they just like, bye-bye, Keybase shut down. So there's definitely that. We don't want to sell out to a big tech company. We want to have a movement and change the world. So yeah, like I think, Greg, have you seen, like, based on what I described in the first hour, do you see now, like, what Innercoin, like, what it can change? Do you see the purpose of it, basically?
I don't know if you want me to say certain things kind of in public here. I mean, it's just like a private.
It's public. Like, it's actually going to be on YouTube. So whatever you don't want to say publicly, don't say it. But like
it depends what you don't want me to say.
Oh, you can say whatever. I mean,
based on what we spoke about yesterday. In terms of,
I see what you're saying.
Yes.
Except for that one aspect that I think not. I just want to just say. So you're thinking big is what Sure. Okay.
No, I guess what I'm saying is that, to be honest with you, it's not even about what we spoke about. It's more about what I see as a person who's been in. I was a trader on Wall Street, a person who basically, was glued, I guess you could say, to CNBC for years and years. I started seeing on my own issues with just in general the fiat system that we have today. And especially now we see it with inflation to where, you know, in my opinion, I think inflation should be higher. And I don't even understand why. How is it that we can, for example, we can keep printing, what is it called? You know, fiat currency, and yet we're not having this whole wheelbarrow and you know, Weimar Republic situation, at least not yet. You know, I guess it's, in the end of the day, it's all about perception, how people perceive money, and, you know, and prices and all these kind of things. But I think that in general, I'm looking at the crypto space, and I'm looking at how basically people are now, I guess, latching on, especially since you, for example, very simple example, when inflation goes up, what happens? People start buying crypto as a curb for inflation. So people are seeing that it's at least a viable, if not, what is it called? If not use of currency, but at least a viable hedge against inflation, just in case. So even in that respect, now you're bringing something like that to just individual communities, right? You're bringing something like that to underserved or poor communities, or like we spoke about yesterday.
Yep.
You know, situations where people are kind of down and out, or you know, I can only think of, like, you know, you go to like San Francisco where you have a lot of well-to-do people, and then they step out of their house, and not to get too graphic, and they step in, you know what, from a homeless guy that just did whatever it is, right? So now you're talking about bringing, what is it called? Bringing these kind of communities their own currency. But again, now you're talking about discussions with local authorities, and now you're talking about, you know, banks maybe getting involved for or against. It's you know, it's an interesting thing. You have to figure out this.
So yeah, I'll just say this. Yeah. I'll say that historically the banks have been issuing most of the money supply that we use. We may not think of it this way, but every time you swipe your credit card in a store, that creates an obligation from your bank to pay the merchant bank, right, at the end of the day. And then there's disputes, obviously, you know, there's chargebacks. But here's the thing. Banks used to have to keep a fractional reserve. And the fractional reserve was at least something backing that money supply, right? Well, the depositor's money. Well, as of March 26, 2020, okay, in the pandemic, the Fed, this is interesting, the Federal Reserve got out of the business of requiring reserves. So it set the Federal Reserve requirement ratio to 0% across all deposit tiers. So what that means is the amount of money, where do you think the money came from, right? The banks are the ones issuing it. And so they were given full leeway to like issue the loans. Don't worry about the reserves. We have ample reserves. That's what their terminology was. So if the banking system is doing that, you know, people are looking to crypto. I mean, crypto went up like, I don't know how many percent since March 2020. So that's why. You know, crypto is an alternative to that. Okay, I would love to ask anyone else who is on the call who would love to come up, who would like to come up before we do the interview. Does anyone want to introduce themselves? If you're new, definitely grab the mic or say anything. Ask the host anything. Be our guest. Also, I wanted to ask maybe VM and Daniel K. Or Boikanyo Trust as well, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Trust. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, Trust.
Okay, all right, thank you. I've been introduced to this Intercoin platform by my friend Elena, and I am looking forward to learn more and to hear more stories from all of you guys. Thank you. I'm based in London, by the way. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. All right. So we've got more and more people every show we do, And then, of course, this goes out to a lot of people afterwards. This is a little bit like the blockchain. By getting into this Telegram, it's like you're getting into the block. And then the block transactions are, given to everybody else. So if you want your voice heard, this is always your opportunity every week. Please put on your calendar to come every week, and if you want, and ask questions, because every week there's something new. New York City Coin is moving ahead. Intercoin's app will be moving ahead. NFTremix is another thing we're going to be talking about. So with that, does anybody else want to say anything before I give it over to Alicia? And let's just,
Well, my Mel actually had to go. I had sent a few messages, so unfortunately she had to go because now we're at a little bit almost at 1:30 here.
Oh,
so anything else you guys want to discuss, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions, or if anybody else wants to introduce themselves, we can move on with a different type of thing here because she couldn't stay. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Alicia. I maybe should have done it the other way, but let's bring her on in next week or in a different show, because I think we should plan just for that, to have the interview.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So let's just finish out the discussion. Maybe the last 5-10 minutes of the show. Let's keep going with what we were talking about. And then if any one of you wants to jump in, please do. I don't want to keep talking myself, honestly. I'll leave it. You know what? Let me ask a question to everybody. And I just want to leave it to the anyone in the channel to discuss. So the question is, where do you see crypto going in 2022? Because we do expect the Federal Reserve rates to rise. The Federal Reserve is probably going to raise interest rates, which will trigger some sort of shock in equities. But crypto has been traditionally, the thing that people go to when there's free money being printed and everything like that. So when the Fed tightens its belt and we go to a more sort of managed economy again, monetary policy, what do you think will happen with crypto? And my other question is what do you think will happen with the city coins? Because we've got Miami Coin now, New York City Coin. If Innercoin doesn't do anything, what do you think would happen with these city coins? Are people actually going to use them if Innercoin doesn't do anything? Or do you see anyone else doing anything? I guess is my question, because most of the crypto projects that I see are just going around sort of the same thing: blockchain, peer-to-peer trading, DeFi, staking. It's all the same playbook. And I'm just curious, what do you see coming in 2022 that could be interesting? Where do you see things going this year? That's kind of my topic that I just wanted to throw out there. Anyone want to offer your opinions?
Yeah, I can weigh in if nobody else. First, I think regarding interest rates, I think interest rates is an event interest rate hikes are an event that's already priced in by the market. If you look at the Fed funds futures rate, they're pricing in 2, maybe 3 rate hikes next year. So I think, to the extent that prices are going to re-rate, to the extent that valuation levels are going to re-rate to reflect higher rates, it's already been priced in. And I don't think it's going to have a big factor on, neither traditional equities nor crypto markets. In fact, I think it's a likely chance that, it's a likely chance that, because Jerome Powell, he's historically been very dovish, and there's a chance that he actually surprises us by giving us less rate hikes than what the market is pricing in right now. And if that happens, then we can see a spike in prices. So I don't think it's, specific to rate hikes. I think that's not something to worry about.
All right, Greg, what do you think, having been a trader on Wall Street, like, and looking at CNBC? Do you think that the Fed's actions will, what kind of effect will it have on crypto?
The Fed's actions, to be honest with you, it's a little, the whole thing's a little tricky for me because it's they are at the point where it's kind of damned, damned if they do, damned if they don't. I mean, you're talking about these guys want to raise rates to curb to curb inflation. Okay, so you're raising rates to curb inflation, then you're tanking. You're going to make the market retrace, the stock market, global markets. Unfortunately, or incidentally, the cryptos run in parallel to global markets. It's interesting because I mean, on the one hand, these guys are also, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, all these banks, they started up, crypto desks right after they bashed crypto for about a year. They started, they realized, okay, it's a real thing. So they started crypto desks. Well, I happen to think they bashed them because of, they were just trying to tank the price so they can get in a low price. And, manipulate.
The Wyckoff distribution,
I mean, really,
right?
As soon as I heard, what's his name, Jamie Dimon, he was telling, this is like 2018 during that rally, he said that I'm going to fire any manager that invests in crypto. He's telling his managers to fire anybody and their employees that invest in crypto. And I'm like, oh man, this guy wants to get it at 10K, or 5K. So then, he knows it's going to rip up anyway to like 40 or 50K. I don't know. I think this whole thing is they see what's coming. They see what's going on. They see that the people now are trying to grab more of the power into their own hands. And now they understand that, okay, before we switch over from this whole fiat system, eventually we have to manipulate the heck out of it and at least get ourselves some good prices and, some good, I guess you could say, inventory. That's I don't know. I look at it from that angle. You could say it's a little bit what's it called? Use the word conspiratorial and whatever it is. But I mean, listen. All you have to do is think critically in these situations. I mean, these people are not stupid. They're all holding crypto. They're all holding things in like, offshore accounts and God knows where. Again, like we had before the system that we have today. We had another system, before this fiat system, we had another system. These things keep changing every, hundreds of years or so. And the people, who are involved in the old system for sure want to be part of the new system, where they didn't believe in it. And now they see that the people are adopting it. Again, it's all about perception. The same thing with fiat. People are adopting it. And they understand, okay, we have to somehow, these guys are holding kind of the levers. Again, it's interest rates and money supply and all this kind of stuff. Greg and I were just talking about yesterday how before, 1919, I guess, we didn't have this Fed system. We didn't have this, fractional reserve system. We actually had a country from 1776 to 1919. And since then, we've had what we have today, where we're basically, what did we have? A QE5? Or we joke around, we call it QE infinity, quantitative easing, where they just kept, the government the last 10 years kept buying securities to prop up the markets. So I don't know, a lot of ideas there, right? And I'm not really sure, to be honest, what the ramifications of this will be. I have a weird feeling that despite everything, let's say Bitcoin will probably just go up to 100K before Bitcoin itself becomes obsolete, and I guess like Ethereum and the whole ERC20 system will take over, if you ask me. Simply for the fact that Bitcoin doesn't even have, you don't know who the founders are, you don't know, when you look at projects, for example, go on Intercoin, we can see the founder is Greg, right? We can look at the roadmap, we can look at all the different things, the Twitter, this, that, and the other, Discord, I don't know if you have a Discord. Bitcoin, I think, is the only major one where there's nothing of the sort. It's just a tech that someone created, some person with the moniker Satoshi Nakamoto. We have no idea who this is. There's no one to go to, and that's basically it. So who's to say that this thing, which is itself very, very slow, the transactions speed is very slow, is supposed to survive and become the next fiat currency or the next, tender, let's say, legal tender. So that's my theory on that. If it makes any sense.
So what you're saying is an anonymous person people turn to something made by an anonymous person. They prefer that over the current system. Some people, because they don't see the current system working for them.
What I'm saying is, well, initially they did. What I'm saying is, eventually, once this ecosystem develops into, it is already developing into something more viable, and we see that the standards are, people like to invest in something where they know who produced it, where they can speak to the people, in case something happens, where they can like we're interfacing with you. Eventually, something like a Bitcoin, as big as it is, I think before it tanks, it's going to go up, and then I think it's going to basically collapse and become obsolete. And I think something like Ethereum or maybe something else will take over, or a few of these guys like Ethereum, let's say Solana, God willing, your Intercoin, Holochain. There's a few others I'm thinking about that will lead the way. And I think Bitcoin, I like to call Bitcoin the Zach Morris phone of cryptocurrencies. If you guys remember, what that looked like and what that was. So, okay, it was the first, but it's slow. So okay. That's my take on that.
I think, that's cool. Does anyone else want to just weigh in on what do you think will happen in 2022 when it comes to community currencies and cryptos and stuff like that? I know sometimes people are all waiting for someone else to speak, and then that's, no one ends up saying it. By the way, how do you pronounce your name? Bocanio? Trust?
Yeah, just call me Trust. It's fine.
All right. Trust, just wanted to get your take really quickly. Because you're over in the UK. Do you see?
Yes.
What do you see happening there?
Jack, I'm sorry. I invited Trust. She wanted to learn about NFTs. So she came to event to listen. She would be a speaker some next time, not this time, not at the moment.
Okay. All right. All right, everybody. I think it's this show wound up being about sort of 2022, where things are going. We absolutely need to do a show about NFTs. And it was brought to my attention basically that the show, that was supposed to be about NFTs, unfortunately got almost like overwritten by what we're talking about here. And I didn't really realize that we should have just made the show about NFTs this week. Innercoin is definitely going into the NFT space. I was just talking about, tweets of people who want Innercoin to like literally build NFTs for them. So I'm sorry, there's like so much going on now with Innercoin that speaking about one thing takes up all the time. And we have these wonderful organizations, women in NFTs and women of Web3, and like I need to basically apologize and like get them on board to speak and give them a platform, because like we have a lot of women on our team, and Innercoin I think is hopefully I like to have a nice diverse team when we have different perspectives and not just guys talking, and to the extent that we need to give the platform more to NFTs and women, we need to actually have like schedule a specific, like I think almost maybe we should have another track of the show that goes into it, because it seems that I didn't start out with NFTs. As everyone knows, I want coins, I want apps, but it's been pulling us in, right? People are throwing money at us saying, build NFTs for us. So we want to launch NFTs. It's so big now that like, if we're going to do it, I think we should open up like almost like a second show, or just I'll give over a lot of this show to that. But today was a kind of like thing where I thought we were going to talk about where we're going in 2022. And I didn't realize Alicia had invited so many people. So I just wanted to like publicly apologize, first of all, on air, with Alicia. Hopefully that, we can remedy this and we can get this happening in the next couple of weeks again. And this time around, we'll make the show pretty much about that, and not try to make it about everything, you know?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Greg. So yeah, definitely maybe in the next coming weeks we can do more of a women in NFTs or cryptos, and I can try to grab, a couple of people, and we can, do what we have to do and do the interviews that, that we were going to do. So I do appreciate you apologizing on that end publicly. Yeah, so I think Layla actually has her hand raised. Layla, did you want to speak? Okay, maybe not.
Layla?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Okay. Hi, Greg. Hi, everyone. And Alicia, thank you. So I had a couple of thoughts. One was I had a question actually for Mel, who left. So I'll have to get a hold of her. But Alicia, to get to yours and Greg's point about women in NFTs, or a separate, maybe a parallel track, I was just thinking, Greg, if you're focused on coins and this NFT marketplace is moving so quickly, does it make sense? The big thing is I'm learning, and Alicia and I have talked about this, the big thing is about building community, which you seem to have. Does it make sense, rather than you recreate, like having yet another marketplace for NFTs on the Intercoin platform? Is there a way you could piggyback, say, onto someone else? And again, I'm not a tech person, so don't laugh at me, but like to piggyback onto OpenSea, the way, say, Polygon has done, or Rarible, they have Flow blockchain, they have Tezos. So it's just a thought, and then that way you're jumping on to an existing community that these bigger platforms have spent 5 years developing, rather than create yours in 2022 through 2024. Does that make sense, Greg? And Elena?
I think so. If you're asking me, I think that OpenSea is just like Etherscan and Rarible. They pick up everything that's been minted on the blockchain. It's like Google, right? They index everything right away, and they let you sell it. It's a brilliant business model. It's basically saying, discover every single OpenSea, discover every single content that's being put out there, and let people sell it. It's amazing. People do all the work creating these NFTs, and then this marketplace simply lets you sell it. Rarible does the same thing. As far as like working with them, they are the top. Their API is used by wallets to display NFTs. In a way, they kind of centralize the space under themselves. Is your question like how do you see us working with OpenSea? I think anyone who makes an NFT simply can't avoid OpenSea, because the owners of the NFT can just go ahead and list it on all these different marketplaces. It's kind of like Uniswap, but instead of being for ERC20 tokens, it's for ERC721, which is NFTs.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because, there's so many new platforms coming up, and the big thing the issue is that for NFT creators is we can mint anywhere, right? It's you either pay the gas fees or not. But then the other issue is driving buyers, collectors, because otherwise you've just got this glut of product and you don't have people buying it, and you don't have resales. So I'm just thinking out aloud here as a latecomer to the space. You guys are already, you're developing the coins, you've got the infrastructure, but I'm just trying to shorten sort of the lead time, and to say, these other platforms have a huge marketplace. They have collectors that are trading, they're buying and selling. Whereas I think the challenge might be, even if I were, say, to list with you or with, there's another site I think I mentioned to Elena, Abras.io, on the Algorand blockchain. There's a bunch of them. There's Crypto.com, there's Chronos. Like every day you turn around, there's a new marketplace. But the issue is not so much the minting. And so this is a question that I'm throwing out to you. If it makes sense to sort of capture the momentum that they have done and then carve out a niche for yourself. So your coins can still be, obviously those are yours. Alicia, can you add to that? Because you've been doing this for a lot longer than I have. And I know you're on OpenSea, you've done very well on OpenSea.
I'm sorry, you were cutting out, Layla. Can you repeat the question for me real quick? Sorry about that.
No worries. Did Greg get that? Greg, did
Yes,
you get
I heard the whole
question?
thing.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So maybe you can
I think
offer your
if
thoughts.
If I may explain what Layla means, question. It's the situation. What Layla can see that there is a lot of buyers already on the OpenSea, but what Layla is not aware yet, because of the centralization and the difficulties for NFT users and NFT collectors, where the actual NFTs are stored. And this is what Greg is talking about, because the beauty of personal space for NFT users is not to be affected by the centralized place like open space. This is the difference, that Greg is actually presenting possibilities for artists to have their own space, not to use the centralized space. And this is why he created already smart contracts that NFT users can use in the future. And that's the actual topic what we plan to discuss today, but he will talk about in details. He will explain why the actual NFT contract was developed, and it's already on the online. It's already ready to use for NFT artists.
Yeah, Elena, I can actually tap into that now that you had explained that. The metadata field basically of the NFTs, it's storing the data. So basically, if you purchase the NFT, the token itself will exist on the blockchain, obviously. And then, like large files such as like videos and the media such as token-related pictures and videos are stored off-chain. So I think what Greg, you're doing something totally different with this now, Greg, right?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the NFTs when we do our show, like Women Lead Crypto and NFT projects. We have to do everything about NFTs and Women Lead Crypto. Women Led Crypto. I need to do, let's do either next week or the following week. We're going to have, and you know what, maybe it's good when we do the NFT remix and it launches, and then we could do that, because we've spent most of this about like Innercoin and 2022, like what's going on. I've talked about Government Blockchain Association. I've talked about mayors of cities. I've talked about the United Nations Capital Development Fund. The Rohingya project, which I haven't even talked about, is about making coins for stateless people, 3 million stateless people. So my point is that I think we didn't do any justice to the actual NFT topic, and I think we just need to make a whole show just about that. So that's my thoughts about that.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I'd like to add one thought to this OpenSea discussion. I'm actually over the past couple of weeks, I've actually become increasingly bearish on OpenSea's future as a crypto native platform. Crypto users value decentralization, and recently there's been 3 very high profile delistings of NFT projects on OpenSea. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but if you're involved in NFT, you might have heard about it.
Yes.
The PHAYC Yacht Club delisting, the non-fungible Olive Garden delisting, and there was also another one like Sad Frog delisting. They were very high profile, and it really made a lot of people in the NFT community very wary about, using OpenSea as a future. So I think in 2022, it's a race to see who can build the Uniswap of NFTs, right? So Uniswap is to Binance as a future competitor is to OpenSea, is what I would say.
Interesting. Well, there is Rarible and there is OpenSea. There's a lot of infrastructure that goes into to building these things. But I think it's time to look forward to NFT 2.0. And we're going to talk about that in the other show. But NFTremix is about, I had to buy that domain name. It cost me a couple $1,000, thankfully, to do that. But NFTremix is all about remixing the remix culture, right? So you know how you have, Greg would know this, you have like songs from the 70s and then you have rap songs like remixing, right? Like Eminem uses a remix. There's all these remixes and the web culture is full of remixes, Web 2.0. So that's what I think is missing in the NFT space is like the artist makes some NFT and that's it. And I really do believe that there should be collaboration just like we have in everywhere else in Innercoin. So maybe the idea is not to try to become the Uniswap of it, but actually the Uniswap 2.0, the whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like we need to look at what's next and not what's already here.
Yeah, I think that's a fair counter argument as well.
Yeah. All right. So I'd like to close out the show by saying thank you everyone who came. As usual, I say please take a moment right now. I know you're doing something else, maybe looking at something else. Please go to community.innercoin.org to continue the conversation. Literally, you go there. It's going to ask you to sign up if you haven't already. Join the community because it's growing and it's also going to be about NFTs. It's about everything I spoke about today. But we need your voice because honestly, your voice on Wednesdays is cool. Come to the next show. Put it on your calendar. Come to the next show. But it would be great if you also if you have a thought or if you have a news to share with us, please do so. So that's all I have to say. And Stacy, Alicia, Elena, Norman, everybody, thank you for coming. And if anyone wants to say anything, you're welcome to. Otherwise, I'm going to just close out the show.
I just wanted to throw one general question out there, or maybe I can continue with Alicia and maybe Norman.
Go ahead, throw it out.
Okay, so the question, and actually Melissa was going to talk about it. Mel was going to talk about it. It's crypto voxels. Does anyone have any experience with crypto voxels? They have a metaverse gallery, or they have a gallery in the metaverse. Has anyone used it, or do you have any intel on it? It's just a place where artists can show their work. And so I just wanted to throw it out there.
Yes, I have heard of crypto voxels. It's basically like a user-owned world. You could buy land, you could build art galleries on their stuff.
Right.
I personally will not do anything until it's been out for a little while, so I can't speak for the actual platform and exactly what they're doing. It looks like they're doing great things, but with everything going on right now, and there's been so many scams, and I'm sure you see me post on Twitter as well. Security is the biggest thing right now, and putting your stuff anywhere. I would definitely just tread lightly. That's the only advice that I could give. I don't really know much about the platform itself, though. So.
Okay. Yeah, it's just more of a virtual gallery. And what they're saying is that they help artists to promote their work. So I just wanted to... and I think your friend had some experience with them, but I think she's jumped off. So she had to go to a meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
so maybe
you.
next time when we do the NFTs and women in crypto, we can bring that up and kind of, go into that and see what options, and if anybody has any questions regarding, crypto voxels or, especially the NFTremix and stuff like that. And I know we were going to talk about the NFTree today, but we'll definitely save that for our next show and go from there.
Okay. All right. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Perfect.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.